Hey, what's going on, folks? Welcome to another video. In this one, we're going to talk about one of my favorite banknotes, which is $2 US Federal Reserve notes. The funny thing about these is there's a lot of people out there that believe these were taken out of circulation or that $2 notes are no longer made whatsoever. There's also many people that believe they're bad luck. There's also people that believe they're good luck. There's also people that just don't like them in a collectible manner, and then there's many people who don't use them on a day-to-day basis or even yearly, in some cases, basis at all. But let's talk about the $2 US Federal Reserve note, all the different parts of it, and different errors that you can look for on the note that could make yours worth way more than $2. There's even an example of a $2 note that sold back in 2017 for well over $1 million. I'll link you to that auction sale in the description box. Starting off, $2 banknotes as we see them in circulation today, they were put out in 1976. They've never changed the design of them and don't plan to, as they've already listed all the other denominations they're going to redesign through 2038 or 2039 or so, and $2 bills were not on that list. This is because there's so little of them out there, both domestically in the US and outside of the US, that the US government deems that they are just not worth the time, effort, or cost to redesign the $2 bill. The only time that this was ever not the case and $2 bills were really collectible was back in the 40s during World War II. The US put a sanction on the transfer of money into Mexico, but allowed for $2 notes as well as silver dollars to still be used. So since they circumvented that blockade, $2 bills and silver dollars became really popular in the 40s. But moving on though, let's start off with the parts of the bill, starting off with the Federal Reserve Bank Seal. This is a black seal to the left of the portrait of Jefferson and bears the name and corresponding letter to the distributing Federal Reserve Bank. In this case, it's an E for Richmond, Virginia. This is also going to correspond with the first letter of the serial number, and we'll talk about the serial number more in just a moment. Of course, the note's going to feature a portrait of Thomas Jefferson. He was a founding father, and he was implemented in many of the decision-making processes for many of the currency pieces we still see today. The portrait and vignette of Thomas Jefferson adorns the $2 bill since it came out in 1976. He was also one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, which is featured on the reverse of the note. The other seal here is the Treasury seal, which is a green seal to the right of Jefferson's portrait. The design of this seal was changed in the 60s in 1969, and ever since then, it has been featured in this way, in a green seal with an English inscription around the edges of it. The paper in which the $2 bill is printed on is done in an intaglio process that's multi-phase, where portions of the notes are printed on the note, some is printed in the note. The paper is actually not of normal composition. The paper is similar to any other denomination of US banknote. It is made of 3/4 cotton and 1/4 linen. It's also embedded with red and blue fibers, as we talked about in my video about the other denominations, and these are anti-counterfeiting measures. Even though the $2 bill isn't faked too often, that really helps with not being able to print other denominations of higher value over the top of the $2 bill. That brings us to the serial number, which is going to be a combination of 11 letters and numbers, and is individual to each bill, of course, that's made, no matter what the denomination is. The first letter in the series here is going to correspond with the Federal Reserve Bank, so they'll match up. You'll also see a letter at the end, and sometimes these are replaced with stars, which means that the note is a replacement star note, and something happened to the original during production, they replace it, and that's indicated with a star at the end of the serial number instead of this case an A. The A here, or second letter in the serial number, which is printed twice on any note, is going to go with the actual block of the series, and it's going to elevate through the alphabet as more of the notes are printed, and just indicates what part of the series in which this note is. You'll also see the series date. This one's 1976, the first year of issuance for the $2 note, and so I wanted to show you on one of these. It'll look exactly the same as new ones that you'll see today. You'll also see other indicators, which are going to be Federal Reserve indicators and plate numbers on the note, as well as the back of the note, that indicate what plates printed the front and back of the notes, and the corresponding banks in which the notes were sent. And then you'll see the rest of the design. On the back of the note, you'll also see, similar to any other denomination of US currency, a little plate number here. That's what back plate was used to print this. And this is the depiction of the signing of the Declaration of Independence by John Trumbull. And this has been on the $2 bill ever since it came out in 1976. The design of the $2 bill was different previous to this to some degree. There was red seal notes. And in the 60s, they stopped producing $2 bills altogether before putting them back out for the bicentennial in 1976. There's a lot of places that you can look for errors on these notes, so a lot of the intricate details around the signing of the Declaration of Independence portrait, there's a lot of areas you can see issues with ink that crop up in sales that you see online and through auction houses, where these notes can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars if they have these issues. Also, shifts in print and general errors that you can find on any banknote are good ones to look for on $2 bills as well. So you'll want to look for that. Misaligned prints, miscuts, and just complete ink smears and really dramatic ink issues. There's also a lot of fun facts about the $2 bill, why they chose this painting, the people featured in it, and those are really fun things you can look up on my website, varietyerrors.com, which covers a lot more of the history stuff. Now back to the front of the note, the obverse of the note. Front of the $2 bill has a lot of areas for errors as well. Now, since there's a little less intricate detail as, say, $1 notes, with a depiction of the Great Seal on the reverse of them and lots of repetitious use of the number 13 and little tiny letters across it, the front of the note here has a lot of intricate detail around the edges as well, but mainly on $2 notes, you're going to look for major errors like shifts in the seals, shift in the serial numbers, overall collectible serial numbers or fancy serial numbers with patterns in them, dates, repetitious digits, things of that nature. We're also going to look for overall misaligned prints, miscuts, and then around the raised texture portion of Jefferson's coat, which is another tactile feature primarily for anti-counterfeiting. Sometimes you'll get some ink issues here, but it's not so much with the actual tactile feature, so much with the way that the paper is used of cotton and linen, the fibrous materials, that sometimes ink just doesn't adhere to these areas as easily as other portions of the note, and you'll kind of get some ink issues. Other than that, look for collectible serial numbers, as I mentioned. Those sell pretty regularly when it comes to $2 bills. I think in relation to other denominations, $2 banknotes just aren't used as much. People just kind of look at them as a novelty item. But when they have a fancy serial number on it, especially really good dates or really good repeaters, they can be worth great, great money. I've seen $2 bills with binary serial numbers that were good repeaters sell for well over $100 regularly on eBay and at local shops. Let me know what you think about this $2 bill video covering different parts of the notes, kind of familiarizing yourself with what all the different numbers and seals and all that kind of stuff is on the $2 Federal Reserve note. Again, it's not one of the ones that's on the list to be redesigned. Let me know in the comments if you think it should have been redesigned. I do love the painting of the Declaration of Independence, but I do think it's kind of antiquated too. I mean, they've been around for 50 years now. Maybe it's time just for a redesign. But the government states that due to the cost to do it and the lack of use of $2 notes, they don't deem it worthy of redesign. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit subscribe if you like currency and collectibles like I do. I will see you there, and we can discuss these notes and what you've come across in your coin and banknote searches. And then I will see you in the next video. Peace out.